Hello. I'm going to be reviewing a book called Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. 100 Tales of Extraordinary Women. Have you ever heard of the name Marie Curie, Amelia Earhart, or Coco Chanel? Have you ever heard of the name Nina Simone or Maria Callas? Well, this book has everything about all these women, and I'll show you right now, starting with a splendid front page. Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. I love the writing, the fonts, and illustrations. Let's see what it says here. To the rebel girls of the world, dream bigger, aim higher, fight harder, and when in doubt, remember, you are right. Okay. So, I'm gonna pick one of this random list, and I'm going to read you about a woman who maybe you know or may not know, but you'll certainly find a lot about her. So, okay, I'm gonna randomly pick one. Okay, Aung San Suu Kyi, politician, page 26. There you go. And I love the illustrations of the woman. They also have really nice and creative illustrations on the other side. If you might know right now, in Myanmar there's a lot of things going on, and Aung San Suu Kyi is locked up, and there's this other guy that wants to become like the leader of Myanmar. He's really bad. Anyways, this is exactly what happened, almost the same thing that happened before. So, Aung San Suu Kyi, politician. Once there was a young woman named Suu Kyi. She came from a rich Burmese family who traveled the world. Suu Kyi, her husband, and their 2 children were living in England when the phone rang. "My mum has fallen ill," she said to her children. "I have to go back home to take care of her." She planned to stay there for a few weeks, but from the moment she landed, she found herself involved in protests against a military dictator, like what's happening now, you might know. He had taken over the country, and he imprisoned anyone who opposed him. Suu Kyi spoke out against him and quickly got lots of support. The dictator realized that this young woman was a powerful threat. He gave her a tough choice. "You are free to leave the country and never come back, or you can stay, a prisoner in your own home." Suu Kyi thought about it. She very much wanted to rejoin her husband and home and children in England, but she knew her people needed her. "I'll stay," she said. Suu Kyi spent most of the next 21 years as a prisoner in her own home. She met people there, spoke about her beliefs, and spread her message of democracy and peaceful change. She won the Nobel Peace Prize and inspired millions of people in her own country and across the world, all without leaving her house. After being finally released, she was elected leader of her country. So she was born June 19th, 1945, and she's from Burma. So she was elected leader of her country, and so now what's going on is that there's another military dictator called Min Aung Hlaing, and he wants to take over, and he wants to be the leader of the country. And you can check it out by yourself, but we're going a bit off topic here. There's a bunch of different other people, like there's this woman called Faduma Diab, she's a politician, or Helen Keller, she's an activist, or Jane Goodall, she's a primatologist. And in each page, there's the illustration, and then there's a saying that they've said, like a speech, like a quote. Since we live in this world, we have to do our best for this world. Aung San Suu Kyi. And this was illustrated by Lizzie Stewart. So each picture is illustrated by different people. For example, Helen Keller was illustrated by Monica Garwood. And all the illustrations are very creative and really fun. There's a bunch of people from different countries. And I think my favorite person here, I don't really have a favorite woman here, but I'll just go on the contents and see. So there's Ada Lovelace, mathematician, Alec Weck, supermodel, Alfonsina Strada, she's a cyclist, Alicia Alonso, she's a ballerina, Amina Goreb Fakim, she's a president and scientist, Amelia Earhart, she's an aviator, Amna Al-Haddad, she's a weightlifter, Anne Kosinski, she's an inventor, Anna Politkovskaya, she's a journalist, and I like all of them actually. There's so many. But I think my favorite is the spy called Nancy Wake, or Policarpa Salvarietta. So Nancy Wake is a spy, page 150. And, okay. 150. Okay, this is her. Nancy Wake, and she was a spy, and her saying was, "For goodness sake, did the Allies parachute me into France to fry eggs and bacon for the men?" There's also Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks, she's very inspiring as well. Let me just find her on here. Here, Rosa Parks is an activist. You might know her. She's very famous. And I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so other people would also be free. Rosa Parks. And then there's also the Marable sisters were activists. There's a bunch of different, each page tells a different story about different women, like Jane Goodall's primatologist. They each had different jobs and ambitions. Jane Austen was a writer. From maybe 100 years ago to even to this day, these women have been doing all they can to fight for women's rights. And this is what this book is all about. So I'll read you the blurb so we can wrap it up. A must-have for the nightstand of every girl or young woman you know. Gary Stengel, Forbes. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Goodnight stories for rebel girls. Reinvents fairy tales, inspiring children with the stories of 100 heroic women, from Elizabeth I to Serena Williams. She's a tennis player, and Elizabeth I was a really good queen. I'm quite interested in history myself. Illustrated by 60 female artists from every corner of the globe. This is the most funded original book in the history of crowdfunding. Feminist bedtime story book you'll wish you had growing up. Harriet Hall, stylist. These bedtime stories trade princesses for women who changed the world. Taylor Pittman, The Huffington Post. The Anti-Princess Picture Book, You and Little Girls Need. Caitlin White, Bustle. The best bedtime book you'll ever read. Caroline Segrist. Cool Mom Picks. So Elena Favilli is an award-winning journalist and media entrepreneur. And Francesca Cavallo is an award-winning writer and director. This is her 7th children's book. So these are the people that created this fantastic book. Kind of irrelevant, but since there's so many pages here, there's this little red thing that you can mark your page for. I don't know. I love it when books have that. It's a really nice book, great book. You should really read it. It's really recommended. Bye. I hope one day that you all, or one of you, some of you, can inspire the world to be changed for the better.